Live from Studio 8A. Coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News at 9.
The man wanted for assault and carjacking in Columbia earlier today is now in custody. Good evening, I'm Julia Plant.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. Thanks for joining us. Here's what we know on this developing story. Jason Robert Davis of Ohio was arrested this morning. Authorities say he assaulted a 49-year-old victim just before 4 a.m. on Redwood Road in Columbia. He then took off in the victim's car but eventually ran out of gas along I-70. The State Highway Patrol and the Lafayette County Sheriff's Department took him into custody. He now faces first-degree assault, robbery, and armed criminal action.
The Columbia City Council put off a decision that could begin the process of changing the city's zoning codes. Council members couldn't reach an agreement to hire a consultant to help the city update its development codes. The city would pay $150,000 for the consultant's services. Mayor Bob McDavid says the council will take up this issue again next month.
The snow is finally melting away, but Columbia ended up with more than 2 inches over the weekend. It was the first time the city had a chance to activate the new snow route plan. The city updated its list of priority routes earlier this year, and part of the new rule is that no vehicles can park along those routes when there's more than 2 inches. Several cars parked along the street Saturday, but Columbia Public Works says no cars were towed this time.
Officially around 2.5 inches of snow, so we were just slightly above the criteria. But again, wanted to use this, especially this first snow, as more of that educational campaign to really get people used to it, and again, not trying to come down with a big hammer.
In case the city has to plow again anytime soon, you can visit KOMU.com for more information on snow routes and progress.
A new plan outlining a vision for how Columbia could develop over the next few years is now available for the public to read. It's called Columbia Imagined. The plan will promote community growth in an effort to identify cultural opportunities and enhance the city's downtown experience. Some of the main goals include enhancing mobility and accessibility, providing diverse housing options, and enhancing the downtown experience. The plan will be used as a place of reference and systems of checks and balances when community development decisions are made.
Today was the busiest mailing day of the year. At the Columbia Post Office, people lined up to send out their packages. The post office is expected to process nearly double its average daily amount of mail today, which includes almost 500,000 cards and letters and about 25,000 packaged items. Workers say there is a slight increase in the number of people visiting the post office this year compared to last year, but they are staffed to accommodate that increase in customers.
We're going to see today quite a few people out there. We're staffed accordingly to keep the folks moving through the line in 4 minutes or less. We have our ELF working out there to help folks with the APC, the Automated Postal Center, where you can just go and utilize that without having to wait in line.
The U.S. Postal Service expects its busiest delivery day to be December 19th. It is hard to get to the top when it's an uphill climb.
This wasn't a serious problem in the Big 12, but after 2 years in the SEC, Missouri could feel the pinch when it comes to recruiting. KOMU 8's Maddie Glab explains the battle off the field, which begs the question, Mizzou, do we have a problem?
Mizzou's teams compete with the same numbers of players, the same bats and balls, and the same size field as every other school in the SEC. But Mizzou Athletic Director Mike Alden says the playing field still is not completely level.
And he lifts one high and deep to left, way back, and damage done.
This issue doesn't have to do with athletic ability. It has to do with state-paid scholarships, not athletic scholarships. These are scholarships that any student can get. And Republican State Representative Caleb Rowden can see where Missouri is at fault.
It does affect Coach Earlymon, and it does affect all those guys, Tim Jameson and everybody else. I mean, it affects them all.
Here's the problem. The state of Missouri does not give the university money for in-state students at the same level as the other states that house SEC schools.
This is not about football. This is about sports like baseball and soccer.
We've heard from some of the coaches at Mizzou that they are at a recruiting disadvantage. It's very difficult to recruit students to Mizzou from the state of Georgia or maybe from the state of Louisiana because the in-state scholarship offers from those schools can be supplemented with those state scholarships.
When funded, the state's Bright Flight program offers $2,500 with a scholarship for in-state students who get a 31 or higher on the ACT. But in comparison, Mississippi gives a scholarship worth $5,000 per year if an in-state student has a 15 on the ACT and a 2.5 high school GPA. Georgia and Louisiana hand out scholarships worth more than $3,000 per semester to in-state students. And students from the state of Arkansas can get their hands on a scholarship worth up to $5,000 a year.
I do think that we're going to have to figure out a way to compete with what Alabama offers and what Georgia offers, and because it's pretty robust. I mean, it really is. We're in a new conference, we're in the SEC. It's a different beast, and I think we have to be mindful of that.
The NCAA gives Division I baseball teams 11.7 scholarships. Mizzou can spend these 11.7 scholarships on no more than 25 players. That's about 13 players that cannot be on the NCAA athletic scholarship. And when you add the NCAA scholarship with the few state-paid scholarships, you can see how Missouri gets the short end of the stick.
Mizzou cannot get its hands on players from Louisiana because schools like LSU have a lot of in-state scholarship options that coaches use to give players a greater scholarship than Mizzou would offer. If Rowden has his way, Mizzou won't be at a disadvantage for much longer.
So I think we have some work to do. I think, you know, we're like I said, we're coming out of the 2008 dip, and I think we're on a good trajectory. I think the attitude and the appetite to really take a good hard look at education funding is there.
But higher education is not the only thing looking for state money.
Things like the public defender, things like highways, things like Medicaid programs. I mean, there's a lot of competing interests. And so, I mean, everybody wants to expand access to college. But that competes against a lot of other really important programs as well.
Alden thinks that more wins from Mizzou should equal more money from the state.
So my hope would be is the state of Missouri would look at that and say, what are the things that we can be doing to support the University of Missouri so that we can make sure that we're putting everybody, you know, on an even playing field. That would be my message. And
if we find a way to better equip our university to provide better scholarships, more robust scholarships to folks coming in, whether it be on academic, you know, whether it's Bright Flight, whether it's for athletic scholarship, you know, that just makes everything rise.
The game is over. Missouri has won.
And with teams that rise to the challenge of competing in the SEC, many student athletes and coaches say it's time for the state to rise to the challenge of leveling the playing field. Maddie Glab, KOMU8 News, Columbia.
Rowden says legislature will talk about better funded state scholarships when it gets back in session next month.
We got a little bit of sunshine today, but what can we expect for the rest of the week? Are we finally going to get rid of all that snow on the ground? Let's get our first check of the forecast with Dave.
Well, it's looking like we're going to have some warmer weather moving in. We've got a mostly cloudy sky. It's kind of been variably cloudy today. We've had a high temperature at 37 degrees, and we're looking for a morning time low at about 28 degrees. The good news is that warm front is going to be passing through central sections of Missouri, and for the next couple of days, we're going to have temperatures in the 50s and above average temperatures. We'll have a closer look at that forecast that'll be coming up for you just a few minutes right here on KOMU8 News at 9.
A rough landing tonight. We'll take a closer look at what caused a Delta Airlines flight to slide off the runway.
Then General Motors makes a mega announcement, what it means for those in Michigan's auto industry. We'll have more right after the break.
Then as we check Friday, looks like we're going to be getting a little cooler with another cool front moving through. Temperatures still not bad, though, in the upper 30s. Our next probability for precipitation likely going to be Friday night into Saturday.
Hey, but the next few days looking pretty good.
I know. Let's have them.
All right. Thanks,
okay.
Dave.
A big day for the Michigan auto workers today after General Motors announced it will invest $1.3 billion, mostly in 3 Michigan plants, retaining or adding about 1,000 jobs. Governor Rick Snyder called this a very welcome Christmas gift for auto workers who have toiled long and hard without a lot of thanks since the bankruptcy.
In world news, 4 people were injured when a fire broke out at a gas pipeline in Mexico today. Flames shot high into the air from the pipeline just north of Mexico City. Officials with Mexico's state-run oil company said that the explosion and fire was caused by an illegal tap drilled by fuel thieves. Dozens of people had to be evacuated from the town until the fire was brought under control. Pemex said that it detected more than 1,000 illegal taps on its pipelines each year, and many of them cause explosions or fires.
Colombian police said today they had killed a rebel operative accused of plotting multiple attacks. The chief of Colombia's national police, San Diego Taveras, a member of the guerrilla group FARC, was killed in a shootout with police yesterday. Government mediators are working through a 5-point agenda with rebel leaders in Havana in an attempt to end the violence that has killed more than 200,000 people since 1964.
Former Chilean President Michelle Bachelet easily won Sunday's presidential runoff, returning center-left parties to power. She won 62% of the vote, the most decisive victory in 8 decades of Chilean elections. Her supporters filled the streets of the capital tonight, waving flags, cheering, and dancing in celebration. After a week off, Mizzou football is back to work.
Next in sports, hear how the players are feeling as they prepare for the Cotton Bowl.
Back over to the news desk.
Christmas came early for some kids this weekend.
Find out why Old St. Nick made a very special trip. That's coming up. Kids in Washington, Illinois, affected by last month's tornadoes, got an early visit from Santa Claus this weekend. Children of all ages, some who lost everything in the tornado, got the VIP treatment from the North Pole. More than 1,000 toys were collected and handed out. Organizers hope that this reassures kids that people have not forgotten about them. Really sweet.
I'm sure Santa cheered all those kids up.
Now here's a look at what we're following for KOMU 8 News at 10. A nationwide program brings free Christmas trees to veterans in Fort Leonard Wood.
Plus, you can find the latest news, weather, and sports on our website at KOMU8.com.
And looking at the weather again, we're going to be variably cloudy tonight, getting down to about 27, 28 tomorrow morning for your drive to work temperature. For the day tomorrow, much better. It's going to be mostly sunny. We'll have a high temperature of 46, and even better yet on Wednesday and Thursday. And here's a peek now at the rest of that 8-day forecast all the way into the next weekend, where temperatures will be a little cooler by then.
Now, you've made sure that the weather is looking good for your last couple days on the air. Tomorrow is the big day.
Tomorrow's the day. It's going to be my last day here at KOMU TV.
Oh, stop. We don't want to hear it. We're never leaving.
Well, he's been here for a while, so we are all wishing you a very happy retirement, although we will miss him so much. And tomorrow we have a few surprises in store to celebrate that retirement. So you're going to want to make sure that you tune in tomorrow, 5, 6, 9, and 10, as we say goodbye to Doppler Good.
Should I wear protective clothing?
No, I think you'll be all right. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.